Right, I've just gotten back from Lithuania and stumbled across the DJI Neo, one of DJI's most affordable drones, and one of the best in my opinion. And in the photo, there's an SD card. It doesn't support SD cards. But hey, at least I met Jimmy Carr. Today we're going to talk about the description and features, the app, the pros, the cons, the nerd notes, which are basically the specs, not these specs, but I probably should wear these actually. Description and features. The DJI Neo is DJI's first fully autonomous drone. You don't even need a controller, but if you want, you can get one. More on that later as well. What I mean by that, there's also AI features, which lets the drone do so much more than like a regular Mavic Mini. And for the keen-eyed, or the ones that don't need glasses, there are two buttons on the actual drone, one to turn it on and the other to switch between all the different modes. So what these modes are, it's basically 6 preset options, and you can kind of like change the specifics in the settings of the app, which we will get to, and mean that if you're like on vacation or you just want to film the drone following you, for example, like through a city, then you can do that, and you can see the one-axis gimbal in motion already. Oh, it's always so satisfying to see the gimbal move. Like, first one is called Follow, and this is my personal favorite. Basically, as the name suggests, you put your hand out like this, you hold the button down. Not going to do that because I don't want my mother to start shouting at me, and it will follow you, and it will keep you, or try to keep you in the middle of the frame. So this obviously means it can follow you throughout, but it can also obviously move this up and down. So if you like crouch down, it won't just meow. It will actually look down. And when I say try to keep you in the middle of the frame, it lacks some obstacle avoidance, so it's really easy to hit walls. I learned that the hard way. The second one is Droney. This is nice and simple. Preset, what it does is it goes backwards and away from you, and it goes slightly up. This is good if you want to get a good shot of like revealing something, so the subject's standing in front of it and it just like backs away from the subject and it just shows the setting basically. Next one, and this is also a simple one, it's just circle. It'll just go in a circle around the subject, which is really helpful if you're just like doing something in one place and you want to make it look cinematic. Next up, we have another one that I like. It's called Rocket. As the name suggests, it just meow, and obviously the camera starts pointing down and it ends up just looking at you from far, far above. There is a setting in the app which can make it spin like this. If there's a lot of wind, then it just won't look good. Next up, and this one I really like, it's called Spotlight. Basically, the drone stays and hovers in one area, but then as you walk around or go up and down, the camera will once again keep you in frame. So it's basically follow, just doesn't follow you. So it's not basically follow, that was just gaslighting. Next up, we have Custom. This is the last one, and you can choose between Boomerang and Helix. Boomerang basically does this, because I can't be bothered to explain it. Crazy, I know. And then Helix is just this. And then if you want to get a more traditional drone experience, what you can do is use manual mode. There isn't a button for it on here, you have to do it through the app. And you can either use the on-screen controls, which are really jittery and not good, not trustworthy, or you can purchase a DJI controller, a DJI RC remote, an FPV controller, FPV goggles, a lot of things. Once again, more about that later in the video. And the way to get the drone back is you just hold your palm above its sensors, it goes meow, lands, turns off propellers, or this has prop guards all over it, so you can just grab out the air, you'll be fine. You can take the prop guards off, I don't know why. I mean, if you want to do FPV, for example, and you want that little boost of power, then the option is there. Or I'd imagine it's because if you want to unscrew the actual props, it makes it way easier. Like, this is a very versatile drone, and I'm going to say that word a lot in this video. But no, this is a strong drone. You can crash it. I've crashed it so many times, mostly from the follow feature, not following correctly and just bumping into something, but these prop guards do an amazing job. But once again, you can change all the different settings and do everything through the app. Talking about the app, that is where most of the operations will be held. Right, so now let's show off a bit of the app. So here we have the drone. First thing we want to do is turn it on with the iconic DJI double tap. So you press it, then you hold it. It's alive! Okay, let's go through the entire thing. So first on the list, we have to wait a couple seconds. If you haven't connected it yet, you press connection guide. There's a bunch of videos about that, and I need to blur out my address. Need to remember to do that. Wait, there you go. DJI Neo to detected. So you press connect. There you go. Got some information about it. You can do your first flight. It's a tutorial, or you can just press skip and do it later. I want to do it, not right now. Then you get the camera. Yo, dude. It's got the protector on it, and this is just a low quality preview. Okay, through here you can obviously once again choose all the different modes, just like that. And as I said, you have the manual mode, so you can start it there. You can record it through here, and then you have the settings, which is where you can actually change all the different information. So yeah, press drone. You can change the distance, for example. You can make it rise or stay flat. Then there's a camera mode. For some of them, you can choose photo, or you can just do this, transfer it to your phone and screenshot the moment that you like. Yeah, you got camera settings. There's no 24 FPS. There's no 24 FPS, and that is just super annoying. It shows how much storage is left. Once again, no SD cards. It's got maximum 22 gigs. Next up, you have the album. Now it's in eco mode, by the way. These are all the low quality previews just to show what it would look like when it's fully done. So if you wanted to look at this, for example, what is this? There you go, you can look at a video, and this, for example, is the following one. As you can see, the second you click one of the options, it will automatically start recording, except for the manual. There you go, beautiful guy. That was a zesty ass walk. As you've seen, I've done a lot of videos. And then once you click on, that's saved already. Once you click on one of them, you can press the either share button or the actual download button. Don't want to download that video, it's disgusting. It's just boring. And then it will be in the saved videos and in your camera app. And then once again, you've got your photos, you've got your videos, and you've got favorites. Then you can press connect here to connect your goggles. So once again, you can purchase the DJI goggles and connect them just like that. And down here, you have the album, which we've looked at. We have create, where you can, it's basically like a little editor. Then we have profile. Through here, you can go to the store, you can find your drone if it has GPS on board. For some of these things, you will need to connect back to your own Wi-Fi, which means you can't be connected to your drone. So you might as well turn that off right now. And on here you can press it and you can look at what you need to do before flying in England. So some places you need to have a drone under 250 grams. Some places you need a drone license, and there's just a bunch of things. And this shows all the spots you can't fly, and yeah, all that fun stuff so you don't get sued. Then as I said, you have Sky Pixel. And on here you can see all the different videos that the creators have posted. Oh, and a cool one is you have Academy. Through here, you can choose what drone you have, so we have the DJI Neo. And through here you can look at a library of different videos that talk about how to use it. So you've got flight basics, setup, how to connect to everything. But also, this is DJI, it's a massive company. There's gonna be YouTube videos about everything somewhere. Right, before we carry on, let's go to a lovely cafe in Lithuania. Just to remind you guys to like the video. These take ages, like ages. And if you like what you see-ish, then you might as well subscribe. And as you've liked the video already, haven't you? We're gonna look through and we're gonna look at the pros of the drone. The first pro, which we've kind of dived into already, is the AI tracking ability. As I've said, this has active track on it, which is important because if you don't have a second person, or if you want to get a cinematic shot of yourself, or just do some simple shots of someone else and you don't want to control it yourself, this is a really good drone to have. Just a lot of AI features that we've already talked about. Next up, we have the gimbal. So this is a one-axis gimbal, and it is good because on the drones that don't have it, it's as easy as speeding up causes the video to look bad. What I mean by that is, if the camera's straight and I speed up, obviously the drone's gonna tilt so it can go faster, and then the camera will just be looking at the floor. So it's good to have it so the camera actually tilts while you're flying to keep that nice, steady, straight shot. And there's a little gimbal protector so you don't break your gimbal. Next up, we have the wind. This is really strong against wind. What I mean by that is, yeah, The footage won't look as good because there's obviously a lot of wind and it's just a one-axis gimbal. But so far, as I'm holding it in my hand, I haven't lost it to the wind. And we've had some really windy conditions in Lithuania and this took it like a champ. Yes, I'm tempted to put a GoPro on here to get better stabilization, but you're not losing this drone to the wind. Unless you're like 2 feet away from a natural disaster, you'll be fine. The next pro is the 4K 30 FPS camera quality. Look at the size of that camera. Look at the size of that. It's like ½ inch of a sensor and it is so good. We're going to talk all about the camera at the nerd notes because that's where all the nerds are going to say to watch. But right now I'm trying to keep my retention from just rocketing down. You can get some risky shots with this because once again it's a relatively cheap drone and yeah, it's got a shock mount and prop guard, so you'll be fine unless you go near water. Then be careful, this is not water resistant whatsoever. The next pro is its weight. It's under 250 grams. I keep putting the drone down and then grabbing it again. I don't get it. But this drone is under 250 grams, which means that you won't need a license in the UK. For those who don't know, you need to get something called a drone license if your drone weighs more than 250 grams. This obviously doesn't. So yeah, this also means that if you fly it into someone, you probably won't kill them. And it's got prop guard, so you're safe. Not like an FPV drone, fucking hell. Next up, and some non-drone people may throw tomatoes at me, the battery life is 18 minutes, which is considered good, right? My entire family were like, oh my god, 200 quid and 18 minutes for a drone. Shut up, big man. It's good. 18 minutes is good. And if you get the Fly More kit, you get 3 of these babies, so that's 54 minutes of battery life. Alexa, what's 3 times 18?
3 times 18 is 54.
And that's bloody good. 18 minutes, very good. Stop complaining. I've been doing FPV for like 5 years of my life, and they last 3 minutes. This, beautiful. I'm about to pick the drone up anyway, I know myself. Next up, we've already talked about this, there is a variety of different controller options. First of all, you can use the told you I'm going to pick up. You can use the buttons on here and just look at which mode you're on. You can also look at the battery life by just pressing it and it'll show you in the little dots. There is so many options and it is just so good. You can obviously have to buy it separate, but you can use it in so many different formats and I love it. You can also use your phone, as I said, for manual, but I wouldn't trust your drones on that, so yeah, be careful. And then some small ones, like it's fully guarded, so it's safe to grab out of the air, so if it's like going towards a bush, you don't have to be afraid that you're going to lose a finger, you just and you grab it. It's easy to carry and light, so it's really easy to get through the airport. You just kind of pop all your batteries in a bag and then just keep this somewhere, like in your case. It also comes with 2 extra props, 1 for each angle, I guess. And as I said, it's got palm takeoff and landing, but you need to make sure that the gimbal can see your face or it just won't take off. It'll tell you out loud, can't see your face, mate. Something like that. I can't remember the exact saying, but something like that. But it can't all be good, especially for 200 quid. So what are the drawbacks? Well, the first one, and this is the main one for me, personally, some people said they can, but I can't find the manual camera settings on this drone. I want to shoot 24 FPS with 1/48 for the best motion blur, but you can't. You bloody can't. And that is what annoys me. This is a cinema drone. This isn't made for FPV. This is for cinematography and you can't control the camera settings. Papa needs his 24 FPS, right? Next up, yes, this has a gimbal, but as I said, it's a 1-axis gimbal, meaning it can only go up and down. It can't even out left to right or anything like that, like for example the mini series can do. And this is just like its major drawback. It's okay. If there's no wind or really little wind, then the footage will look fine. Yes, you won't lose the drone as easily as like your Holy Stone drones, but it would just look shaky and you can't really use it. You can try and crop it in and then kind of, you know, stabilize it like that, but defeats the purpose if you have a Mini 3 then. And this brings me on to my next point. Sometimes it's just jittery. So when you're in manual and you kind of point it left, maybe it's because it's the screen, so like, you know how the responsiveness is. It is annoying, but I think if this had a better gimbal and you use the controller, then like, it would be the perfect drone. Like, they might as well add on an extra 100 quid and just give us a better gimbal. Please. Next up, and I've already talked about this point slightly, the tracking isn't the best. Sometimes it doesn't work. As the one I've already showed you, there's other ones where it's in, that was weird, it's in the spotlight mode and I'm just walking and it loses me behind something this thin. or it just starts tracking another person. DJI's Osmo Pocket 3 series has Active Track 6, which DJI, put Active Track 6 on this drone, I'm begging you. Like, I think if they make a Neo 2, these are some of like the main things they need to fix for it to basically be the perfect drone. Another thing is sometimes randomly it does disconnect from the app. So I'm just sitting there trying to like send over my footage and it says, please reconnect your drone. It was just reconnected. Ah. So then I'll sit there for an extra 5 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then I have to redo everything, to resend everything. So far it hasn't happened when I was in manual mode and just flying around, so that's good. And if it does happen, there's a home feature, so just do its best to fly back home. Another thing, as it's just a 1/2-inch sensor, the dynamic range isn't the best, meaning you can't really make the brightness bright overall. So as you can see here, the subject, aka this guy, that was cringy, is too dark and the rest is too light. So unless you want to spend hours like cutting out the person to kind of change his lighting and exposure separately in post, it just won't look like, it won't be its full potential almost. But you know, if I had camera settings where you could change the exposure triangle, then you know, that would be better. Next up, with no extra storage. And that's not only it, it only has 22 gigabytes of storage, which is not enough. It really isn't. What I like to do is plug in the drone to my computer, download all the files onto an SD card like the one in here, and then delete everything off here before I go on like a trip or to another country, because it would just be full. And I'm not downloading 22 gigabytes of data onto an iPhone via the quick transfer, because it ain't that quick. Next up is the range. It's good, okay? It's, for the size, once again I'm talking about overall, but relatively the range is fine, but we're picky out here and the range could be better. They say this could have around 10-kilometer range, but with battery life and everything, I personally haven't found that. And that's only if you're like in a clear field. If there's walls or like cement, then that will drastically reduce the range of this thing. Another thing is, once again, this is one of DJI's most cheap drones, meaning that it will drift or just land out of being a bit of a pussy, and if it's too dark, then it will just land or it will start drifting. Another big con is gonna be, there's no color coding settings. You can't set it to like log M or anything. It's just, you get normal. So yeah, if you're thinking about post-processing, there's no logs on here. You're gonna have to just use normal and, I don't know, see what you can get. Next up, there is no sound off the bat, which I guess is for the best, because all you would hear is because these motors are loud. A really cool feature though is you can connect the DJI Mic 2 onto this, then on the same video file it will just have the DJI's mic voice on there. So that is a cool feature, but yeah. Or another cool one is you can use the microphone on your phone via the app, and there's a setting where it will automatically remove the like frequency of the actual drone, so then it will just hear your voice, but it doesn't sound the best. If you do want to do it, I'd recommend just using a regular mic without that feature, and then going on Adobe Podcast and then enhancing your voice through there. It just sounds a million times better. Lastly, for the cons, this is the easiest thing in the world to steal. Literally, if you're not looking, someone does this and it just lands in their palm and you just go and run away. Once again, these are just buttons. You don't even need the controller. You grab this, you run off, you connect it to your own phone, and you're good. Hopefully, because this is a brand new drone basically, hopefully in the future they'll add some safety precautions and, you know, stuff like that. Now, on to my favourite part, and the whole reason for these glasses, apart from the fact that I'm blind, is the nerd notes. Right, I wrote them down, but I'm not going to say them off by heart because I'm not going to remember that. It has a 1/2-inch camera sensor. It has 22 gigabytes of internal storage, which can be accessed through the DJI app or through PC via wire. The lens FOV is 117.6 degrees. I don't know, I keep doing this, and I'm not Italian, which is a 14mm equivalent. It has a fixed f.23 aperture with a 0.6 meter minimum focus range. The ISO range is from 100 to 64,000, which is just like your average Canon, I guess. The maximum image size is 12 megapixels in 16:9. The video resolution can go up to 4K at 30 FPS with EIS on. The maximum video bitrate is 75 megabytes per second. The shutter speed for video is 1/8000 to 1/30, and for photos 1/8000 to 1/10. And in conclusion, if you want a super cinematic drone and you're not planning to mostly shoot the setting, you're mostly planning to shoot yourself, you'll only you're a solo creator and you need the drone to shoot you walking and doing stuff like that, like a second cameraman, then this is really, really good. At the end of the day, for £200, if you don't care too much about the gimbal, as I said, and all the nerd stuff when you go into different camera settings and different things like that, as your first cinematography drone, you cannot go wrong. And there's so many options in the future. If you want to try out FPV or want to try, well, when I say try out FPV, this can do a flip in like 3 to 5 business days. It's, but for your first FPV drone, yeah, it won't be bad. But if you have a good enough drone and you have a crew and you don't want to buy a drone for fun, because this is really, really fun. If you don't care about all those, then maybe this isn't for you, but that is my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. There's some more cinematographic, cannot speak, videos right here, and some cool tech gadgets on the £50 video, which people haven't watched enough right here. You can't even see my face, can ya? Like, subscribe, blah 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 blah, cool drone, bye.